I have Luana Rubin with me now. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on.
And what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, we're talking about the 2013 Tokyo Quilt Festival, and I brought back some photos from this amazing show to share with you.
And you've gone for several years now.
Yes, 5 or 6 years in a row now.
Mm-hmm. And so what kind of trends did you see at the Tokyo Quilt Festival?
Well, you have to remember that in Tokyo, the quilts are all handmade. All the stitching, all the embellishments. It's very different from what we see in the U.S. or Europe. So the trends have to do with what can be done by hand. And one of the trends I wanted to show you that really caught my eye this year was circles and dots. And the first one up here is a cherry blossom landscape. And you can see they're all different shapes and colors of dots. And it has more of a traditional Japanese feel, slightly contemporary. Take a look at the next piece here. It's really kind of a gritty urban art contemporary piece.
I love it.
But again, with circles. And there's a lot of texture and contrast in there.
And so let's take a look at this next quilt, which seems to me that it has a lot of log cabin designs in it.
Exactly. And you have to imagine all of these quilts are very large, 6 or even 7 feet across. So this is very tiny log cabin piecing. When you walk up to the piece, of course, you see it from a distance, and it's really eye-catching and bold, and you walk up and you see all this tiny detail.
All the intricate work. Wow. That must be amazing to see in person. And this next quilt?
The next quilt,
love the use of color in that.
Yes, and it's a combination of many different mediums, applique and embroidery and piecing. But again, it's really an eye-popping example of this circle trend.
Good use of shading and light and dark on this quilt.
Exactly. There's an ombre going on in the background, too.
And let's take a look at this quilt that has a ton of circles on it.
Yes, I met the artist who made this. It had over 2,000 circle appliques. They look like buttons, but they're flat, and they've all been hand-turned around a small piece of paper, a round piece of paper.
That is remarkable and would require a lot of patience.
A lot of patience.
And
Definitely.
Same thing here. This quilt also has a lot of circles.
Yes, and I'm seeing that as a trend, creating pattern and design and color with just a ton of little circles. It almost looks like the eye color test. Right?
It does. Let's take a look at this one.
Yes, this piece again is more contemporary, and it's a combination of applique and embroidery. And of course the colors really pop on the black background.
On the black. Absolutely.
And then the last piece here is in a way more traditional, but the circle image of all the birds together. This is another quilt where you have a different experience of it from a distance as when you come up close.
And so let's take a look. What's this book on the table?
Yes, I wanted to show you this. Nakayama Fumiko is an artist and a teacher who is specializing in mola quilts, and these are quilts, reverse applique quilts that originated in Panama. And
this is another trend that you're seeing in Tokyo.
Yes, because this one artist, who is also a teacher, has had such a profound impact on the students there and the other quilters. So I wanted to show you just a few pages out of this book. She has recreated the tales of Genji, all in mola quilting.
Oh, wow.
And if you're familiar with mola quilting, these are all tiny, intricate details. So, you know, having said that, I want to show you what some of her students are doing.
So she had an exhibit at the show, and with it was her students' work.
Well, her students' work was spread out through the exhibit. She had a central exhibit with 40-some small quilts.
All mola style?
Yes, the entire tale of Genji. So these are quilts that some of her students have done, and my translator who took me through, we would pass by and she would say, yes, this is another one of her students.
I love the colors in this quilt.
It's quite striking.
Absolutely
I mean, the other
beautiful.
two maybe are more traditional mola colors, but this is very similar to her work.
And much more contemporary than the traditional mola, I would say.
Yeah.
And this quilt, what was striking about this to you?
Well, I think just the graphic aspect of it. I mean, it reminds me of Keith Haring, you know, very urban graphic graffiti type art.
And the other one, the next one?
And that's more traditional, similar to a traditional mola that would show village life. So they're exploring many different ways to express it. But I thought the tales of Genji and mola was just the most unusual thing I had seen.
And so what else grabbed your eye at the Tokyo Quilt Festival?
Well, I am looking out for parallel trends to the modern quilt guild movement. And so in Tokyo, this is one of the quilts that I picked out that I thought was very reminiscent of that, or perhaps a, parallel or next step to that modern quilting. It reminds me somewhat of Nancy Crow.
And this next piece?
Yeah, the next piece, again, imagine this, a very large quilt, these beautiful, huge iris flowers. And large, exquisitely rendered flowers are typically Japanese. We see these at all of the Tokyo quilt festivals, and this was just one of my favorites.
How big is this quilt in person?
I would say it's 6 feet across.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the flowers are huge.
And I like what they've done in the water design.
Yes, it's a bias applique with oval shapes on top of a pieced background.
Well, so that's pretty innovative thinking to do that on that quilt.
It is.
And take us to the next.
Yes, next we have a beautiful peacock quilt, and peacocks have been a trend, and I've showed some of the peacock fabrics here in the past, and so now we're seeing more peacock quilts, and this was all applique, all by hand, of course, and there's a little bit of metallic in there too, which gives it a very opulent, rich look.
Beautiful. And this last quilt?
The last quilt I found so interesting, and a lot of other people found it interesting too. There were crowds just clustered around it when I was there. It's about jazz, which of course is an American musical art form. When I was in Tokyo, I noticed there were jazz clubs that specialized, that always had American jazz musicians there, and there's quite an interest in American jazz in Tokyo. It's like a visual expression of American jazz.
Oh, that is so well put. Well, this has been a lot of fun. These have been some great trends, and thank you for sharing these quilts with us.
You're so welcome.